Hello students, I am Ritika Bajpayee, Assistant Professor at Axis Institute of Planning and Management. In the lecture series of Business Environment and Legal Aspects of the Business, today we will cover socio-cultural environment. Okay, so let us talk about the socio-cultural environment and its factors. If we see the socio-cultural environment, okay, so if we see the socio-cultural environment at large, so this is basically made up of the two words, right? One is the social environment, and the other is cultural environment. There are two environments basically which are combined together in the socio-cultural environment. So, as the social environment and the cultural environment both are the part of socio-cultural environment, so we have to understand both of these factors, right? We have to understand the social factors and we have to understand the cultural factors as well. So, let us see the social factors. The very first is population size and rate of the growth, the age distribution, the wealth and income disparities, social mobility, job market mobility and attitude to work, and the last one is the health and education levels. Now, if we talk about the cultural factors, so the basic cultural factors we have are the language, religion, values and attitudes. Apart from this, we have the ethics, the religion, the customs of a particular culture or a society. So, all these things are covered under the cultural factors, right. So, first of all, let us discuss the social factors, then we will move to the cultural factor. So, social factors are having the impact of business. We are studying all these factors just because these are having impact, direct or indirect impact on the business. So, the population size and rate of growth is related to the business in that way. If the population size is high, is more, so that means the market which are available for the product or the services will be will be good enough in the number. And if the rate of growth is high, so the demand for the product or service will continuously increase, and the business will also motivate for introducing new changes and new things in their product and the services. Now, second is age distribution. Age distribution is important to consider because the age distribution actually decides the generation a business is going to target, right. As currently the generation Z is actually at the higher level, like maximum of the population is of the generation Z. Like if we talk about the Gen X, Gen Y and Gen Z, so the maximum population of the world is of the Gen Z. If we see the Bloomberg report, so we will find out that generation Z is actually on the boom stage, okay. So, if a business is any business is entering in the market, so it have to understand the need and the requirements of the generation Z. First of all, they have to find out the generations they are going to target. These are according to the age distributions, right, and after that they have to find out the the specifications of these generations, the generation which are going to target. So, after finding out the specifications of that particular generation, it will be easy for a business to design a product or service for them. So, in that way only they can satisfy that particular generation, okay. Next is the wealth and income disparities. Again, to understand the wealth and income disparities is important for the business, because this is what something going to decide on the buying pattern or the buying behavior of the individual or the customers. If they are having very low income, if they belongs to the low income group, so a business have to design the product in such a way so that the low income group can also afford that, right. So, the wealth and the income disparities actually helps a business to know the to know the category of the population that they are going to target. Okay, the next is job market mobility and the attitude toward the work and health and education level. So, these are also the social factors which help a business to design their products and their services, so that they can actually, they can actually establish themselves in the market, they can satisfy the need of the customers, their potential customers, and they can increase their customer base in that way, right. Now let us talk about the cultural factor. The cultural factor we have are the language, religion, values and the attitudes. So what is culture? The very first question is, culture is nothing but the customs, the ideas, beliefs, etc. of a particular society, right, or a country. Or we can say that culture is also considered as the accepted behaviors, customs or the values of a given society, okay. So किसी भी society, किसी भी country के particular beliefs, कुछ customs, कुछ ideas जिनके according वो, जिनको उस culture में या उस society में रहने वाले सारे ही लोग follow कर रहे हैं, right, we can say that they are blindly following that, right. So that is what, that is culture. And this culture is not which you will find in one generation only, this is something that used to pass on from generations to generation, right. Some of the technology can change and other things can change, the aesthetics can change, but the basic ideas, their beliefs and the customs will remain the same. So that is why a culture is something which is having a greater impact on the business, and to understand it actually helps the business to establish itself and survive in the market for the long term. Now let us talk about the elements of the culture. There are basically 5 elements of the culture, right. The first one is symbol, other is language, then we have beliefs, we have values and we have the artifacts, okay. The symbol, language, belief, values and the artifacts, okay. So the culture is basically categorized into the 2 parts. One is non-material culture and other is material culture, okay. Non-material culture is also called as the symbolic culture, right. We can also understand it that this is something which which do not have the physical existence, that is, it is called as a non-material culture. So the symbols, languages, beliefs and the values comes under the non-material culture, like there is no physical existence of all these things, right, but it it actually impacts the business, it is the part of the culture and it is having an overall impact. Now if we talk about the material culture, so the things which are having the physical existence comes under the material culture, and it consists of the technology, the clothing, eating utensils, the means of the production, etc., right. Okay, now let us talk about the symbol. The very first category of the culture, the non-material culture, and the first element was the symbol, right. So every culture is almost filled with number of the symbols or the things that stand for something else and that often evoke various reactions and emotions, right. And some symbols are actually types of non-verbal communication also, and while other symbols are in fact material objects, right. So symbol is something that is related to a particular culture and that denotes something, and sometimes it is also used as a non-verbal communication, right. This is not always required to go for the verbal communication. For the purpose of non-verbal communication, symbols can be used, and they are generally used in this society or a country. So we can also say that symbols evoke the reactions or emotions. So in order to express the emotions, we can use the symbols, right. As the symbol of strength is what this, like this is the symbol of strength. So it means what, this is just a symbol, but it means the strength. So that is what it is actually communicating something, right. Now let us talk about the non-verbal symbols. A common one is shaking hands. This is this is a symbol, but it comes under the category of the non-verbal symbols, which is done in some societies but not in others, and it commonly conveys friendship and is used as a sign of both greeting and departure, right. This is common for all of us, we use it often and it is a sign of a greeting or a departure, right. So, probably all the societies have non-verbal symbols. Every society is having some of the non-verbal symbols, and we call them what? We call them gestures. So, this is gesture is what? The movement of hands, arms or other parts of the body that are meant to convey certain ideas or emotions. So, these are what? These are called as the gestures. So, however, this same gesture can mean one thing in one society and something quite different in another society. This something quite different can be totally different in some ways, right? So, in business we have to, we have to understand about the gesture, these non-verbal symbols and all these things, just because if when a business is going global or even within the same country, we can find different cultures and the different customs and the different non-verbal symbols as well. So, if a business is not having the total understanding about all these symbols and the gestures, so it can actually miscommunicate with the audience, right? And any kind of the mistake or miscommunication with the audience can lead to a greater loss for the organization. Now, let us talk about the gestures. So, gestures are what? Gestures are the sign that we make with our body, such as hand gesture and facial expressions. It is important to note that these gestures also carry meaning. These familiar gesture, the very familiar gesture is what? Okay. We generally say okay and we denote it as this. This is the gesture for okay. But this gesture is also having different meanings in the different countries or the different areas of the world, right? In the United States, this is what? This is for the okay, or if you want to appreciate someone, you will say okay. But in certain parts of the Europe, it signifies what? It signifies the obesity, and American language using this gesture, Americans who are using this this gesture might be might well be greeted with an angry look. So, any misunderstanding about the gesture can actually lead to a big loss for a business. Now, let us talk about the language. Although we take English as a language which can be used across the world, we can use it in all the places, but still there are some local languages which create problems for the business. Perhaps our most important set set of the symbol is what? This is language. And the English, in English, if we take a simple example, so in English the word chair means what? Something that we sit on. This is common for us, right? But in Spanish the word silla is having the same meaning. So, the meanings are same, but there is change in language only that actually creates a big difference. So, as long as we have discussed about the silla, which is called in Spanish and having the same meaning, that we call it chair and they call it silla, right? So, as long as we agree how to interpret these words, a shared language in this society are possible. So, when you are going for an international meeting or conference, so what is important to have a understanding of their language. If you are going for an if you are sending expatriate for your business in the host country, so that person should have the knowledge of that language which in the country which he is going, okay. So, जिस भी person को आप भेज रहे हैं as the expatriate in the host country, if that person is not familiar with their language, so it can actually create a problem. So, an organization have to find out the midways or the solution of these problems, because it can lead to the greater losses. As if we take the stats, the data we have, there are 6,500 languages all across the world, right? And the Mandarin Chinese, we call English as a general language, but the fact are saying something different. According to the fact, if we see the data, so Mandarin Chinese is actually at the top of the main languages of the world. So English is not there. We have the the Mandarin Chinese as the main language of the world, and there are approx 20% of the world population which are which actually spoke this language. So by the same token, differences in the languages can make it quite difficult to communicate even. For example, imagine you are in a foreign country and where you do not know the language and the country's citizen also do not knows yours. So how you are going to communicate with them? How are you going to transfer the information? How will you tell about your proposal? So in that case it can actually become a complex problem. Okay, so after the language, the next task that we are having is the norms. So culture actually differs widely in their norms or the standards and the expectations for behaving. So and norms are the formal and informal rules regarding the kind of behavior which are acceptable within a culture, right. So norms are what we can say that this is something which is related to the rules and the regulation or a kind of the behavior which is acceptable or which is not acceptable, and it is also related with the ethics. Okay, norm is something that is actually the part of the ethics, right. So the certain set of the expectations of the behavior in a particular society or in a particular culture are known as the norms. Norms are basically specific to a culture, time, period and the situation. So these actually used to change with the culture. Every different culture will having the different norms. It changes with the time, it changes with the period, and it used to change with the situation as well. So again, when a business is going have decided to be global or to expand its business at international level, so understanding of the norms and the behaviors and the expectation of that particular culture and the society is very much required. The next set of the cultural factors we are having is the values. Okay. Values are another element, important element of the culture, and it involves the judgment of what is good and what is bad and what is desirable and undesirable. So something we can again say which is related to the norms, but a different element. Okay. It involves the judgment of what is good or what is bad and what is desirable and what is undesirable. A culture's values shape its norms. Okay. So now you can see that how the values are related to the norms. The cultural values actually shapes the norms. For example, the Japanese place great emphasis on harmonious social relationships and dislike interpersonal conflict, right. So what is their values is, if you are going to expand your business in Japan, so you have to also focus on the social relationships. You have to avoid the interpersonal conflict, otherwise your bad picture may they can interpret their your bad picture, and this may lead to the losses for business. Individuals are fairly unassertive by American standards, and lest they be perceived as trying to force their will on others. This fact is according to a paper which was written by the Shinden and the Silverman in 2010. Okay, after the values, the next set we are having is the artifacts. The last element of the culture is the artifacts, as artifact is the part of the non-material culture, right. All these factors which we have studied yet were the part of the non-material culture, right, and this is the part of the material culture. Or why this is the part of the material culture? Because artifact is something which is having the physical existence, right, physical existence. These are some material object or that constitute a society's material culture. So in in most of the simple societies, artifacts are largely limited to a few tools. The like for example, the huts people live in and the clothing they wear. One of the most important inventions in the evolution of the society was the wheel. So this is what, this is all related to the artifacts, and the artifacts are actually associated with this culture were unknown to a generation ago. Okay, artifacts are also related to the different cultures, and this was actually not known to the people generation ago. So the technological development actually created these artifacts and new language to describe them and the functions they perform. So before they they develop introduction and development of technology, very few people have knowledge about the artifacts, but now with the growing and developing technology, everyone is having the knowledge related to the artifacts which are related to the different cultures or the different societies. Now today's wireless artifacts in turn help the in reinforcing our own commitment to wireless technology as a way of life, if only because children are now growing up with them, and often even before even before they can read and write. So now what is the change, like we are having the new artifact, that is a wireless technology. Now in today's scenario, children are going with the technology, with the wireless technology, right. Even before they can read or they can write, they are familiar with the technology, they know how to use technology. They might be not having the knowledge of reading and writing, but they are having the knowledge of the technology. So this is what, this is something which comes under the artifact, and this is developing with the help of the technology, and we are getting more knowledge about it. So if a business is going global, so it has to be the detailed understanding of the artifacts which are related to the different cultures and which are associated with them, are an important part of that particular culture, right. So now let us see the chart again. Okay. So the social factors which consist of the population size, rate and the growth, age distribution, wealth and income disparities, social mobility, the job market mobility, and the health and education levels that we have discussed. Now okay, and these factors and the cultural factor, these are actually interrelated and having the direct and indirect impact on the business, and every business have to should have the detailed understanding of these social factors and the cultural factors as well in order to survive. Otherwise not only in the global environment it creates a problem for a business, but even within the same country, if you are doing your business in the home country as well, which is having a different cultures. Like if we take the example of India, so India is having the different culture. This is the mix of actually the different cultures. The culture of south region is totally different from the north, and the culture of east is totally different from the west, right. So all these 4 regions of the India are having different cultures. They are having the different the social fact, they are having the different social factors which are having the impact on the business, and they are having the different set of the cultural factors. So the understanding, the detailed understanding of these social and the cultural factors together helps a business to grow and survive in a particular the particular society. Now let us talk about the cultural factors which affect the business. Here we are having the 4 phenomena. We have the cultural adoption, we have the cultural shock, we have the cultural conformity, and we have the cultural lag, right. So now let us understand all these phenomena one by one. The very first is cultural adaptation. The cultural adaptation is what? It is just like the technology adaptation that we have studied under the technological environment. So cultural adaptation is what? This is the process and this is the time that it takes a person to integrate in a few to integrate in a new culture and feel comfortable with it. And the same thing was there with the technology, if you remember. So in the technology adaptation also, the time which an individual takes to adapt a particular technology, to understand it and to be the comfortable it, was the technology adaptation. The same is cultural adaptation, the time individual takes to integrate with the new culture and feel comfortable with that is what the cultural adaptation. Okay. A person in this position may encounter a wide array of emotions that the theory describes for different stages. Okay, so this was what? The cultural adaptation. Okay, the next term we have is the cultural shock. Cultural shock is what? The cultural shock is a sense of anxiety, depression or confusion that result from being cut off from your familiar culture, environment and the norms when living in a foreign country or society. So, this is something which happens with the expatriates, right. So, when a person leaves his own country for the expatriate project, so the situation of cultural shock occurs, because in that way the all the things used to change with the change in the country. So, that is a situation for the expatriate where he or she actually feels the cultural shock, right. So, those experiencing cultural shock go through distinct the distinct or the different phases of the euphoria, discomfort, adjustment and the acceptance. The next term we are having is the cultural conformity. Cultural conformity denotes the agreement between a person's behavior and the standards determined by a group or a culture, okay. And there is actually a common view in that conformity leads to a laissez-faire characters. However, I feel that this is not the case. We all conform to the set of the norms at one time or other, whether consciously and unconsciously, right. This is cultural conformity. The last word we are having is cultural lag. This is also same as a technology lag. Cultural lag thesis put forward by William F. Ogburn. He said that the various parts of modern culture don't change at the same rate, and that since there is a correlation and interdependence of part, a rapid change in one part of our culture requires readjustment through the other changes in the various correlated parts of the culture, okay. So, this is all about the socio-cultural environment. Thank you.